Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Welcome to the stream, everybody. Yo, yo, yo. How is everybody doing tonight? I'm your host, Ashton 4 Orbs. There it is. You are watching my live stream tonight. We don't really have a name for it today, but today is going to be an awesome live stream. Everybody's getting so hyped in the chat already. I'm super excited. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, call me a grifter, whatever you want. Also, we do have merchandise that's available. Apparently, it's been doing really well. I'll put the link in the chat. It's produced by Skunkworks. This is the same guys that actually did my thing back here. So we're actually creating and giving back to the community and mom and pop businesses as well when you buy these shirts. So there you go if you're interested. I think they're fire, and there's more stuff coming out as well. Okay, yo, what up, Billy No Downside and everybody else in the chat? What are we talking about tonight? There's been a ton of UFO news, and I'm just going to break it down. We're going to break it down together, and then we're going to listen to a little bit of Hal Puthoff as kind of close out the night, okay? So let me pull up my thing real quick. I'll show you guys a quick summary. It's actually changed a little bit since I updated the description already pretty quickly. So here you go. Here's the new summary of what we're going to go through tonight. So, crap, where is it? Okay, so we're going to do this. Welcome to this China app. We got Fred Durst comments. We got comments from Michael Schellenberger and Tucker Carlson talking about the UFO topic. Jesse Michaels' new whistleblower. Wow, Jeremy Corbell makes some slop with TMZ. We got Elizondo on with Don Jr. Greer promising new whistleblowers. Colehart promising a new whistleblower. And bonus, Colehart's also promising... News Nation is promising a new video that will supposedly show a UFO crash retrieval. You can tell I'm probably extremely skeptical of these claims, so we'll see. And then we got Save Diego Garcia. There was a new movement that I'm just starting. And then John DeSouza interview sneak peek at the end, potentially. Yeah, so you guys can tell. And then obviously the Hal interview clips. So we got a full night planned here, chat. Full night planned. Okay. And also we have a new name. So if you guys don't like calling people woke disclosure, then your new option is you can call them alien heads. We got a lot of what you might call old frogs in the chat here, which are people that basically grew up in social media and they know all the trolling and stuff like that. That would be like what I would call an old frog, like an old school troll. And we got a lot of alien heads. These are the people that are like really obsessed with aliens and that UFO disclosure, like aliens is going to like make everybody blow their minds or whatever. Okay. So that's what you want to do if you want to use PC terminology, if you don't want to call them woke disclosure because you feel like it hurts their feelings or whatever. Very first thing, the Chinese app, chat. The Chinese app. Oh, wow. Ether Bunny already coming in hot. Thank you very much for that donation. My shirt comes tomorrow. Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Some cheese for your grift. Your grift. Save Diego Garcia. See? Guys, memes do work. Memes do work. So where's my thing? Okay, here it is. So I saw this new trend that people are joining this social media platform because I guess TikTok is getting banned or something. I don't really care. I don't really know. But I thought it would be fun because the more I thought about it, the more I thought, what I want to be the target of, Fang Fang or whatever from the Chinese CCP. I'll take some Chinese CCP money. And look, I've been sitting here exposing the United States government for like a year and a half straight. I deserve at least a little CCP money. So I joined the Chinese app Red Tape. No, wait, Red something? Red Note? Red Note. Probably Red Note. Red Note, and I made a profile. I've already got like 13 followers, guys, and I haven't done anything. And look at my sweet profile. I actually updated it. Somebody showed me how to put MH370 didn't disappear itself in Chinese. So we're reaching out to the Chinese. Ni hao. Ni hao. America, teleport airplane. We teleport airplane, is it? And then we covered it up. I don't know how to say any of that Chinese, but there you go. So also US versus China. Plasma drone war. Zap. Everybody, poof, we all die. And then, of course, much science, very physics at the end. So that's all I've got. Go ahead and edit that out of context to make me look racist. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Okay. I think it's going to be great, though. Why? Because literally like the whole plot of MH370 is some kind of China versus US, like, Psyop going on. And this is the reason why this whole stream tonight is called Psyop. Is that what is a Psyop? A Psyop is a psychological operation where they're trying to get you to believe one thing or another. And this MH370 situation was the United States and China and some kind of weird espionage, counter-espionage plays or happened behind the scenes. And either one of them could have blown the whistle on this whole thing. But neither of them did. Because they all know, like, that they're building these orbs or whatever the hell they're doing behind the scenes. Making this, like, ridiculous plasma technology with unlimited payloads. Let me just hit up some of these other donations real quick. Lee Harris. Love that last Hard Truths episode. Yeah, so that was, if you didn't check it out, my last Hard Truths podcast was with John Brandenburg. He was a plasma physicist. He knew some of the OGs, people like connected to the Manhattan Project. He knew Winterberg. Great episode. Check it out. We go kind of into the woo. And guys, just so you understand, like, I don't believe everything that everybody says on my podcast. That's not why I have people on. I have people on because I want to talk to them about interesting ideas and concepts. And, I'm open-minded to everything that's out there. I just want to hear other people's opinions on stuff. Here's what you think of the Tim Dillon clip now. Someone you respect. I mean, dude, I don't care. I don't really believe the multiple alien race thing by John Brandenburg. That's the true reality of the situation. I think it's cool that he believes it and he can believe whatever he wants. But I found his logical process for how he got to aliens and how he got to, like, the explanation for the civilization on Mars to be, like, kind of lacking of the big picture. I still think he's a genius. Still think he's a smart guy. I still think he's right about gem theory. But this is what we've realized about this whole topic is that you can have these engineers that are super smart, but then they go all in on kind of like these weird tangents and make these conclusions that are, use specious logic to say the least. And that's fine. I think it's like all about exploring this topic and how it's gotten to where it is today. Thank you for that super sticker, Soccer Riker. Appreciate you. Kevin Miller, just want to name my associate these live streams for posterity. I appreciate it. You just want to have your name up there. Awesome, man. Thanks, Kevin. Sooty, hair looks great today. I was actually going to point out my own hair. I got the perfect spike going on. So if you're jealous, be jealous. I got the hair going. I got these magic orbs, man. Ashton, respect the Griff game. Yeah, honestly, like, if anybody can actually make teleportation and orbs into a grift, I would just say more power to you, man. More power to you. If you can get people believing it without evidence, go nuts. I mean, that's the reason why people believe all this stuff is there's a huge amount of evidence. Steve Pelton, thank you for all you're doing. Stay safe. Appreciate you. Okay, guys, chill with the chats, and we're going to come back to the super chats later. I'm realizing we're getting so big now that I have to, like, hold the super chats. Used to be able to do them. Used to be able to react to all the messages. Can't do my best. Okay, that's enough Chinese stuff. Let's get to the next thing. I do think it's interesting to see if the Chinese field will be more receptive to the MH370 case. And I'm also interested to see if I can put stuff in like Chinese or if I just do it in English and put it on their platform, if it'll do well. We'll see. Hey, Bernie, thank you for being in the chat, brother. Okay, the big thing that everybody wants to see before we get into some of the criticisms, as you can tell, there's going to be a lot tonight, is let's look at one moment of positivity. Apparently, this interview on Bill Maher's Club Random with Fred Durst aired like last April of 2024. So it's kind of an old clip. So someone showed this to me and I immediately had to go find the context and then go clip it because this is pretty amazing. Like, huge shout out to Fred Durst for what we're about to see here.
Take on like 0-point energy or the UFOs and UAPs and things happening.
What's 0-point energy?
0-point energy is a technology that's been around for a long time that's been kind of dark shelved and buried, that you could take energy from the vacuum in space to power everything we need. Your home, power your whole...
The vacuum in space?
Yes. So what happens is we don't need to plug into the power grid. We don't need to have this primitive kind of energy situation that we're being forced... Basically, you're born on Earth to either pay for energy and survive or not be able to pay for energy and not make it.
Well, okay, so what is the vacuum in space and why is it filled with energy and how do we get it out of it?
Well, that's the idea. The idea is there's
I can understand why
No, I'm sorry, but there's already people who've proven it. There's already people who've done the same like the guy who created the car that runs off hydrogen and water. You know, his technology's been shelved. Imagine if our cars ran off water. You know, it'd be a big deal, right?
Okay, I want to cut it off halfway here, and then we'll play out the second half. So first of all, okay, wow. Bill Maher has no idea. You say 0-point energy to Bill Maher, and he's thinking science fiction immediately. Wow, okay. Now I'm starting to realize, like, if you are only new to watching my content, when I first started this, I wanted to reach out to 3 people. I wanted to reach out to Bill Maher, Tucker Carlson, and Joe Rogan. So far to date, I've not talked to any of them, even though I've spoken to tons of other podcasters. Because I thought if I could convince those 3 people, I would have hit a good spectrum of society that's out there. In fact, if I can talk to those 3 people, then I'll just retire from the case after that. Now we're realizing Bill Maher, no idea what's going on when it comes to the physics community, the UFO stuff, the energy source. It was very brave of Fred Durst to come out and say, have you heard of 0-point energy? It's basically like an unlimited energy supply. And Bill Maher's reaction was just like what I expected somebody to say about like wind power and solar power back in like the 60s or 70s, where they would just go, what do you mean wind power and solar power? You can't harness that. Any way that you would try to harness that, how could you harness that? You'd be like, well, you can make a windmill. And they'd be like, yeah, but it would never get more energy out than you get in. That's my slack-jawed yokel impression. So it also seemed like the same kind of people that would say, like, oh, voice can't transmit by wires. How could voice transmit over wires? That's impossible. Makes no physical sense. And now we have cell phones that communicate wirelessly everywhere. Or the same people that said humans can never fly in the sky. That's impossible. Only birds can fly in the sky. And then, of course, the Wright brothers figure out that you can make an airplane. Do you realize that the commonality is that there's always an engineering solution? Engineering solutions to every problem that's out there. And it sucks, unfortunately, that Fred Durst wasn't knowledgeable enough to explain it, because he truthfully says correctly that 0-point energy is proven. It's not a debate about whether or not 0-point energy exists. There is no debate. Quantum mechanics proves it beyond any shadow of a doubt. We have experimental proof in the form of, you guys say it with me, the Casimir effect. Experimental proof that there is 0-point energy. There's no doubt about it. And there's multiple experiments that show it. Different experiments. Aharonov-Bohm effect, Lamb shift, the reason why hydrogen atom doesn't radiate energy at rest, all of these things all show that there is a field of energy out there, an energy density to outer space itself. And it's a profound implication for the nature of our universe. So let's keep going.
Yeah,
So you really don't think much about that stuff?
I've heard it before. I haven't heard this one about the vacuum in space, which I don't know what is. I mean, I know what vaguely what a black hole is, very vaguely. Don't ask me to explain it or teach it. I'm the poetry teacher. But a vacuum in space, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure why it would produce energy, and I'm not sure how we would ever get it the fuck out of there. So
well, imagine if energy was free. Do you think that would be okay for anybody in the world if we had free energy?
You know what, Fred? I can also imagine them sending me ice cream in the mail every day. But just because you can imagine it doesn't mean that it's real or.
Okay, so one more break and then we'll go to the end because the last bit's just a bit of non sequitur. But yeah, Fred Durst is like, imagine free energy. And Bill Maher's like, what is the vacuum? What do you mean, what is the vacuum, dude? Like, have you taken basic physics? You understand what outer space is? You're like, it feels like, how much do we have to really dumb this down? Like, okay, we are on Earth. We live in a system called a solar system filled with planets around a star. And everything between all of these planets is called outer space. Wow, okay. And in this outer space, it's not just empty. It's not really a vacuum. It's filled with energy. Just like how when you're a fish underwater in the ocean, you would think that all there is the water. But it would look like it's empty to you because you're going through it all the time. You don't even realize it. You just think that water is all there is. It's the same thing that we're experiencing on this planet Earth with the air and with outer space itself. Energy is everywhere. And it can be extracted at least 3 different ways that I know of. One, magnets, magnet motors. And the key to magnet motors, why is it a motor? Because you use resonance. The magnetic field using resonance can tap into the harmonic frequency of the jittering energy that's out there. That's how I'm going to explain it. Number 2, you can use plasma. Plasma is another way you can do it. Plasma is a natural way where you can get around the engineering issues of the Casimir effect. And then number 3 is a microchip, the Casimir cavity patent by Garrett Moldal and Bernard Hayes. So there's 3 different ways you can pull energy out of the vacuum for Bill Maher.
Possible, or I mean, this just sounds like something somebody told you, and
I've actually. Yes, people have told me, but some people who are really involved with it, and they've exposed some videos and some home videos made by people who do it.
But do you understand the science of it? If not, then you're just...
The science of it, I can't really articulate that well.
Well, if you don't understand the science of it, then it's just religion. Then you're just believing something on faith. And
I'm wanting to believe in it. I don't
exactly
believe it.
Does that argument go both ways? That if you don't understand the science, you're just taking it on faith? Is that also true of the people that believe that dark energy and dark matter fill in all the gaps of general relativity? I find that argument usually only goes one way, and that the dogma that exists in the academic community is essentially that you believe whatever the group consensus is, otherwise what you're saying is fake. But don't the people who believe in the group consensus have to prove that they're right? Is that not a requirement as well? If you can't explain why Earth hasn't been shot out of our solar system by the mass of Jupiter and the gravitational pull of Jupiter over many billions of years, then can you really say that your cosmological model is correct beyond any shadow of a doubt? I think not. I think that if you can't explain the 3-body problem, which is how our solar system even exists, then how can you say your cosmological belief is correct? If you can't explain why stars spinning around galaxies at the edges of them spin at the speed that they do, then you can't be that confident. If you can't explain where mass and gravity and inertia are coming from, how can you be confident in your model? That would be my response to Bill Maher. I hope that Bill Maher takes my post seriously, because I can explain the questions that he has. And I think it's important for people to understand that it's not just me discovering this. This is just me discovering the science existing online and wondering why everybody's just ignoring it, when obviously it's the answer. It fills in all the gaps that we currently don't understand. And it opens the door to free energy in Star Trek. Anyway, that clip was great. Fred Durst has retweeted me a couple times, so I'm a huge fan of him. And I actually was a fan of Limp Bizkit when I was in high school, so pretty cool crossover there, guys. Michael Schellenberger. Oh boy, where's the clip? I think I have it here somewhere. Oops. Actually, let me see. What's the next one? Okay. The next one actually I want to talk about is, this is another big revelation. Before we start getting into talking smack about people, which we will. This was a huge revelation. Somebody linked this to me. And they said they checked the 501(c)s, which is the non-for-profit like umbrella corporations, and it turns out Battelle Institute is the largest single recipient of taxpayer money. $10 billion in 1 year. What this means is all of their money comes from the government, all of it. Battelle Institute, 100% of their money is coming from the government, and they're getting almost $10 billion. So what are they doing with that $10 billion? Well, here's the answer. I dug through the replies. I did a little sleuthing of myself, and it turns out that they are the program managers. They are a non-government organization, NGO, that is the contract manager for all the national laboratories, including all the ones that we've talked about: Brookhaven, Lawrence Livermore, Los Alamos, Oak Ridge, Pacific Northwest, Savannah. Like, these are all the biggest laboratories. So they get paid $10 billion every year to oversee all these laboratories. Seems like a lot of money. Seems like a lot of money. And it seems like the only purpose of this is to shield the information from FOIA requests. Why is it a private corporation managing federal labs using all federal taxpayer money? Once again, look at this. Literally using all federal taxpayer money. If you want to know where the black projects are, this is where the black projects are. I also want to say I would never harm myself or hurt myself in any way, but this is not a joke. It's like, this is where the black projects are. Is that this company can create a project, they can contract it out to any laboratory they have access to, and they can shield that information from the public getting access to it, because they're a third-party company that's not government, so they don't have any FOIA. There's nothing you can FOIA about them. $10 billion. $10 billion is not a drop in the bucket either, just to manage the labs. This is exactly how they're shielding all this UFO technology stuff from us. And there's more. It's not just one of them. So this is where Brandenburg, I think we can watch this. So you were a contractor when you were working with the Pentagon and came back in the 90s then and had secret clearance or top secret clearance?
Yes, I was a contractor working for Mission Research Corporation. Then I was a private consultant. Then I also worked for a company called the Aerospace Corporation. It's the Air Force think tank. And they would basically, you were considered just a staff scientist, and they would basically send you to sites to work on various problems. And
really?
so
that's how that works? Hold on, that's useful. I don't think people know that. So Aerospace Corporation is a think tank for the Air Force. They would hire on scientists and then just send them to go do project work.
Oh yeah, and you'd have a security clearance, and then they would send you to various agencies around town in Washington, D.C. to work on various projects. And
okay, so I've heard enough already just from that. So after I heard about that, I was thinking back to the John Brandenburg interview, and I was like, wait, John Brandenburg was saying something very similar. So sure enough, I looked up Aerospace Corporation. They're the exact same thing as Battelle. They're also a non-for-profit, all funded by the government. So this Aerospace Corporation, same situation, federally funded non-for-profit. And even when you look at their website, it says they support critical programs to the Department of Defense and the nation. And what do? They do exactly what Brandenburg just said. They contract scientists out to laboratories. They got over 1.2 billion in revenue just last year, or 2 years ago, whatever you want to think of it. 1.2 billion. So we got 1.2 billion going to Aerospace Corporation to contract out scientists to like defense contractor labs and to government labs, national labs. And then we have $10 billion to Battelle Institute to manage the government labs, just the government ones, not the Lockheed Martin ones and what have you, just the government ones. This is pretty sus, guys. This is pretty sus, if you ask me. I think that we just figured out how they've been hiding this stuff. Like, this is how they're building these shell corporations to hide the information from audits where it can never be found. And then those Battelle Institutes and Aerospace Corporation, they can make other shell companies if they need to. This is just all out in the open. And this goes to show that, yes, not only is there this technology that's out there that's being hidden from us, but we're now unraveling the corporations that are like the ones pulling the strings. And this is how they do the compartmentalization so that nobody knows any particular thing. Even people in the military aren't going to know because these are all being conducted by private corporations. So this also connects to John Ramirez when he was talking about, well, there are these bigot lists, and most of the people on the bigot list are third-party program managers. They're just random people that are like working with these at these companies, like places like Battelle, SAIC, and Aerospace Corporation. Huh. Wild stuff, man. So the next one thing I want to jump into right off the bat, and let me just see if there's any messages about that. UFOs are definitely real. I think the psyop related to UFOs is that they're trying to claim that it's aliens. And we're going to talk more about that here very soon. So I think that there is definitely, in my opinion, I've started to form around, and I'm not, I'm open to new ideas, but it seems like there's a concerted effort to blame this advanced technology on aliens. And what bothers me about it is that people are just simply throwing out the idea that human beings could have figured this technology out. And the problem with that idea is that some of this technology is a discovery. It's discoveries of nature that don't require aliens to figure it out. Tesla probably figured this all out 150 years ago. Look at it from that perspective. Tesla figured it out 150 years ago. He just didn't have the material science to make it a reality. But he knew about radiant energy even before quantum mechanics was even a thing. So we don't need aliens to explain the technology. This is the psyop. This is the brainwashing that they've been pushing into us. They've been pushing this brainwashing into us that if we see something anomalous, it must be aliens. Now, keep this thought in mind for the rest of the night. The psyop that's being pushed on us, I'm going to say it again, the psyop that's being pushed on us is they want us to automatically assume that if we see something anomalous like anti-gravity, that it must be alien technology. It must be alien technology. And this is a logical fallacy. This idea that it must be alien technology, that whatever we don't understand must be alien in nature. It's a logical fallacy. Okay. So the next one is Tucker Carlson talking with Michael Schellenberger about the drone situation. In fact, they talked about UFO stuff, and we're not even going to look at it because we got too much better stuff to look at. I don't really like Michael Schellenberger. I think that Michael Schellenberger is extremely vanilla. And I think that he is like, he's a fence sitter, right? He's too afraid to take an opinion on anything. He thinks he's like, a neutral journalist or whatever he thinks he is. And, if he's really going to be an investigator, you should also not be afraid to have your own opinion on certain topics that are out there. As opposed to just, I don't know. Well, guess, man. You're the journalist who's been researching this. You're the one who's got whistleblowers coming to you telling you about Immaculate Constellation. Guess. What do you think's going on?
An intel person told me that this person believed that they were in fact Chinese, and that a Chinese satellite went down, was visible to the naked eye. There were news stories about it. It evaporated, it burned up, and that this person told me that was taken down by the U.S. government. That was a command and control satellite for these drones.
Oh,
and the
wow.
belief
Okay.
was the Chinese government was sending the following message: we're moving on Taiwan and maybe other things.
Wow.
You can't
Okay.
do anything about it. An intel person told me.
So that's pretty interesting, guys. It's interesting because maybe there is something to this whole Chinese drone situation. Tucker Carlson's basically saying that these drones were Chinese, and it was basically like a show of force. Like, hey, we're hovering here. There's nothing you can do about it. Several people were arguing that it was Chinese in nature, that these drones. Now, imagine a reverse message. Like, United States is sending a message to China when we teleport MH370. We're going, hey, we've got this technology. Don't ever try to steal it from us. If you try to steal this technology, this is your fate right here. You're going to get zapped out of existence or whatever, to the Andromeda Galaxy or whatever's going on in this video. Teleportation, annihilation. I don't know, and I don't want to find out firsthand. And in response, China's response isn't to expose this, because no one would believe it if they try to expose it. Their response is to reverse engineer the technology and then have their own drones just floating, their orbs floating over our military bases. And what are we going to do about it? If we reveal it, then we have to reveal that we also have that technology. It's actually a good chess play if you think about it. You would say, oh, send our orbs to float over the military bases of the United States and surveil them or whatever we're going to do, and just scare them a little bit. And then their populace is going to see it. They're going to freak out. And if they try to shoot it down, it's just going to make the populace even more afraid. Like, if we start shooting EMPs or missiles at these orbs, people are going to start freaking out, especially over New Jersey. So maybe it is just as simple as just a message, just to show you guys, like, hey, we can do it too. We can do it too. This is why I really believe 100%. I don't have proof, of course, but I do believe that we're in some kind of like UFO technology, 0-point energy technology, shadow war, a Cold War arms race with China. I think China's number 2. You can go back to my old streams, and people were pressing me because they thought that, like, no, Russia should be behind China. But no, I think it's us as number 1. And then China's catching up. And China, I think, has figured out some of this technology. They've got very smart people. I think they've figured it out. And if they aren't caught up to us, I think they're catching up rapidly. And it's hard to say. People would say, like, hey, is China caught up to us? Dude, I don't know, man. They've had 10 years to advance that orb technology. They've had 10 years the United States has had. We might have some crazy shit that, like, is just beyond what even I can comprehend. We really could at this point. And I also think that we've figured out AI to the degree where, like, it's probably, we might have like AGI in the military. They might have like advanced general intelligence that's already like just doing Skynet type stuff. Okay, next topic, guys. We got to stay on topic because we got a lot of stuff to go through here. Okay, so the next one was Jesse Michels revealed a new whistleblower who claims to have seen an orb and the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, I'm not going to dig too much into this, but what I did want to show on this was my post response. So And I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating here, but here we go. Okay, this is the one. So Jesse Michels he got, it looks like from his post, this is the tweet repost here, is that he came out and he's been kind of doing the sensationalism thing recently. This is the biggest thing you need to watch, blah, blah, blah. And then it turned out it was just rehash of stories about UFOs shutting down nukes. And then now he was doing the same thing a couple of days ago, again, going, I've got this new whistleblower. This whistleblower says that he's got this crazy story. So he talks to the whistleblower. I actually didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. But so if I get this wrong, fact check me. The rumors are that he claimed to have seen an orb and that he saw some kind of magical UFO technology in addition to an orb just floating freely. And once again, the problem here is these people don't understand technology, so they have no basis to understand if that's human technology or alien technology or what have you. So even if I take what he says on face value, it's just another story about a guy who's not in the know, who has no idea about what's possible. Now, the big problem is that the moment in today's day and age that you come out with a story like this, where it's like, oh, he believes what he's saying. That's great. A lot of people believe what they're saying, and it's complete bullshit. It happens all the time. So if you're coming out with these trust me, bro stories, like Jesse Michels was doing, you have to expect the criticism. They are going to shatter the credibility of anybody. Like, it turns out this guy has PTSD and some other stuff. They're going to destroy your credibility. That's the first thing they're going to do. If you have no hard evidence and you're coming out here telling stories and you're hyping the person up to be a whistleblower, you should expect the pushback. And the thing that I'll say that has really actually impressed me, one of the things I learned about this particular case was that I learned that, wow, the MH370 videos are even more obviously true than what I realized. If the MH370 videos were actually fake, there would be an army of people proving it every single day. Every single time they got posted, there would be people showing the exact overlay of the full graphic that they claim was used, or people showing Wayback Machine archived images of the satellite images that they claim were used to make the videos. People would be showing the proof in my replies all the time because people love to debunk stuff. That's what we learned from the Sean Ryan case, the Matt Livelsberger case. That's what we've learned from the Jesse Michels case. The fact that people can't do that for the MH370 videos shows you how incredibly powerful the evidence is. It's so overwhelming. And of course, there's people that don't believe it. There's never going to be a scenario where everybody agrees. Even if the videos are admitted to be real, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, for some reason you've been living under a rock, here it is again. Even if this video was admitted to being real and the Arrow people said that the videos were real, there would still be a significant percentage of people that would just refuse to admit it. They would say, no, it's 100% fake, no matter what. Like, there's a significant percentage of people that doesn't matter, right? So you're never going to convince everybody that's out there. So I thought it was kind of surprising when Jesse Michels was surprised that he got so much pushback, because he's been sensationalizing the buildup of this amazing whistleblower. So once again, I like Jesse, but I've probably burned the bridge with Jesse, and it's clear that Jesse has aligned himself with the alien heads people that are out there. That's totally fine. I mean, I am fine with people making their own decisions, doing whatever they want to do, ally yourself with whoever you want to ally yourself with. But the reality is the 0 point energy disclosure people are going to end up being right. So, and anything that you prove on the alien head, woke disclosure side, like, it's only going to corroborate us. It's going to corroborate us. And eventually the web of lies is going to become too much. And it's going to come out that we have this technology, and people are going to want to know why you were lying to them about alien technology and distracting them about alien invasions and shit like that when we could have had free energy. And what I'm going to tell people when they say, hey, Ashton, you've been out there exposing free energy for years now, and everybody said you were a crazy guy and what have you. What is your thoughts on these other UFO disclosure people? I'm going to say they've been gaslighting you and lying to you, trying to get you to focus on aliens, when the reality is we could have had free energy for many decades, but we've been hiding it for national security. And all the people saying that they're protecting national security, don't worry, this video is coming soon. All those people are basically just gaslighting you because they don't want to admit that the United States government has figured out a new energy source and they've been weaponizing this energy source, and they don't want to risk other countries getting access to it. That's the hard truth. Is that all these disclosure people, they've all just been giving you a crock of bullshit. Crock of bullshit that's basically been signed off by the federal government. They've blessed it. They've ordained it. They said, you can go ahead and tell people about the aliens as long as you never mention 0 point energy, never mention that we can extract energy from the vacuum, and never mention cold fusion or any of the stuff that we've been able to weaponize with it. And now that I just said that, realize how much we've influenced people. We've even influenced Sabine Hossenfelder, an extremely prominent academic mainstream physicist. Well, I think she's kind of against some of the academia, but still mainstream. She's been making posts about scalar physics and the ether and cold fusion recently. So we're going to skip ahead on our timeline and we're going to jump into that just because it feels more natural here. So here's Sabine explaining cold fusion.
The strong nuclear force takes over. Crossing this so-called Coulomb barrier requires a lot of energy at first, but the fusion itself frees more energy than it requires. Usually one tries to cross the Coulomb barrier like the sun does, with enormous heat and pressure. Cold fusion, in contrast, is the idea that one doesn't need this, that instead one can deposit the nuclei into some solid-state material, and that this will lower the electrostatic repulsion between them. Usually one uses...
I mean, bro, you can tell we've planted the seed of doubt. We have planted the seed of doubt in Sabine Hossenfelder. I can just tell. This is, if you guys don't know this quote, this reference, this is a reference to Aqua Teen Hunger Force, where Shake plants the seed of doubt, or wait, Meatwad, someone plants a seed of doubt in one of the other characters, and then they slowly start to realize that they're gay because they made them think that they were gay. This is the same idea, is that we've planted the seed of doubt in Sabine Hossenfelder, where now she's starting to wonder, are these cold fusion people real? And then she's going and she's looking into it and she's realizing, oh shit, there's like a bunch of people that have been doing different types of cold fusion experiments and they're showing positive results. Yes, we've incepted her. We incepted Sabine Hossenfelder. And she's not the only person we've incepted. We've incepted Sean Ryan. We've incepted Joe Rogan. You think these people will be talking about cold fusion without Ashton Forbes and ZPE Disclosure talking about cold fusion being real? No fucking chance. No chance. There's nobody out there using the term cold fusion except for me and you guys. We're like the only ones. Even the cold fusion people are calling it low energy nuclear reactions. So I have to say, I'm excited about this video. I was excited about this video, even though she tries to poo-poo it at the end. Sabine, if you haven't figured out Sabine's like whole thing, her whole shtick is she's like grumpy old German woman, right? That's her shtick. So her whole thing is that like my grandmother was an old German woman as well. And it was always Pachikuga. I don't even know what that means, but it probably means like, you know, do better or something like that in German. Pachikuga. She would always say that. And this is like their thing, is that they're grumpy and old, but behind the scenes, if you were to like look behind the veil, they're sitting there, they're going, wait, are they right? Could they possibly be right? They're doing the equations. They're looking at the 0 point energy and they're going, oh man, he might be right about that 0 point energy. Because she looks at the papers and she didn't debunk any of the papers that I've ever posted. Instead, she takes a low-hanging fruit. So shout out to Sabine. We're gonna win her over, guys. We're gonna win her over. We can fix Sabine Hossenfelder. It can happen. And when we do, I feel like we'll get full disclosure because she's a serious physicist. Oh, let me hit up some of these donations as well. I got these magic orbs, man. Thank you, Job Martinez. Appreciate you, Job. Steve Pendleton, thank you for all you're doing. Appreciate you for that donation, brother. Jay Varga, too. Have you compared notes with the Le Mans journalist? Yeah, I have. Florence Duchesne is the only one I actually respect. Out of all the original investigators of MH370, Florence Duchesne is the only one I respect. And I don't think she's on board with the idea, but she's at least will like listen. And I think that I presented some strong evidence that she can't really ignore. But she doesn't really believe the plane went to Diego Garcia. She doesn't believe those people saw the plane on the island. She just believes like there's some other weird explanation. I'm rolling on the floor laughing at your red note bit. Love you, brother. I'm probably going to get canceled for that, honestly. Kevin Miller, again for the posterity, Sabine is going to follow you on red note. Friedbart Winterberg was the key. She plays the middle. Yeah, Friedbart Winterberg, by the way, was in her message boards arguing with her. Not really, but he was in her message boards. We found the old posts. I never posted them, but if there's any secrets out there, if you have any skeletons in your closet, we're going to find them. You need to contact Burning Bright. He's researching the connection between Trump and Nikola Tesla. I'll let other people figure that out. But thank you very much for that donation. Appreciate it. So let's play out the rest of this video.
Deuterium, that's an isotope of hydrogen, asks the nuclei to fuse and puts it in a metal like palladium for the solid state object. Cold fusion has an unfortunate history of fraud, hype, and just bad science, which we talked about in an earlier episode, but it's not all bad science. There's reliable evidence that some solid-state materials actually do enhance nuclear fusion rates. Sandia Lab, for example, builds a device called the Nutristor that sends a low-energy beam of deuterium into a titanium plate. The deuterium accumulates in the plate until it starts to fuse. This emits neutrons, so they use it as a neutron generator. However, it's an example of cold fusion, just that the beam takes more energy to create than one gets out from the fusion.
These are all probably over people's heads. So they talk about 3 different ways they can do it: shielding, scattering, quantum tunneling, I think is one of the other options. So let's go to the end.
That the first effect, the atomic one, exists but happens too rarely. The second one exists but eats up too much energy. And the third one I'm not sure exists, which in other contexts is called the Holy Trinity. That said, I strongly support further studies on cold fusion because these are low-cost, small lab experiments with a potentially huge payoff. And if it works out, not only would we have basically unlimited clean energy, we'd also have amazing material for a blockbuster movie. It could be called Honey, I Shrunk the Coulomb Barrier, or The Man Who Knew Too Much About Palladium. No, I know.
Ooh, those jokes didn't land, but we'll let it slide, Sabine. So Sabine basically doesn't really understand cold fusion that well. I mean, she understands the basic concepts of what we're talking about there, but she obviously hasn't done a deep dive on it. So really, I think the form of cold fusion that I like the best is not what they're doing with palladium rods and deuterium and heavy water. That to me is stupid cold fusion. Now, so let me just break it down for you. There's really 2 different main types of cold fusion. There's more than 2, but I'm going to list just 2 types. One is what they're doing is they're putting metal rods in water, heavy water, and then there's a chemical reaction that occurs that causes the water to heat up, potentially to boil. That would be the idea, is that you would force the water to boil, and then the boiling water would cause steam, which would you use to spin turbines. That's one method of doing cold fusion. That's basically the Pons and Fleischmann 1989, what they were trying to do. In my opinion, the much better method to do it is to create an EVO, an exotic vacuum object of plasma, and then have the plasma generate electrostatic currents, also known as electricity. Have the plasma become a battery where the positive and negative charges are separated, which causes what we know as current, electricity, like a lightning bolt, so that you can use the plasma to extract electricity directly. Now, what people were claiming is that when you do this, the current is much lower. which means that you don't get as much energy out of it. Well, still better, in my opinion, than heating up water and boiling it, turning it into steam, and then having that spin a turbine. It's got to be more efficient than that. And then it's just another engineering problem. The next engineering problem is, okay, well, how do you amplify the amount of energy? Don't worry, we've got equations for that. If you're not familiar with the equations that I'm talking about for amplifying energy, check out one of the previous live streams on creating a black hole superweapon, or check out the equations by Salvatore Pais in his magnetically confined fusion patent, igniting fusion ignition. Equations 6, 7, and 8, or maybe 7, 8, and 9. Anyway, check those out. Okay, so the next one is Jeremy Corbell. Oh boy, this one's going to be tough, guys. Basically, every single alien head out there has got some new thing coming out. Now, for Jeremy Corbell, his thing is that he partnered with TMZ, and TMZ made some video about Jeremy Corbell releasing some new video. Guys, this is going to go about, like, we might literally destroy the credibility of all these UFO people within the next week. Within the next week. Like, every single one of them. Like, you do not want to be hitching your wagon to these people right now, because it is sink or swim for some of these people. Let me see if I've got this on my bookmarks. Okay, I'm going to have to just Google his name. So, Jeremy Corbell... he put out this trailer for this new episode of, here it is. We've got it. And I watched the episode too. So I didn't really watch it. I watched like a few minutes of it. Here you go.
Since the last time you saw me, a lot has gone down. Releasing the jellyfish UFO has put a target on my back.
This is a potential. Let me stop you right there. Releasing the jellyfish UFO has put a target on my back. Chat. I can't even chat. Like, this is where I pretty much have to stop, and I don't even want to watch anymore. Because it's obviously so much horse shit already. We're only 18 seconds into this video. And the first 15 seconds of it was like, cut-ins or whatever for the TMZ. Imagine if I sensationalized all the MH370 stuff as much as this. Jeremy Corbell thinks revealing the jellyfish UFO put a target on his back. Imagine revealing videos that are the fate of a missing airliner that the United States zapped out of the sky and covered up. Does this mean that I can claim that my life is in danger? Like, by comparison, what Jeremy Corbell is revealing compared to what I'm revealing, there's really no comparison. Jeremy Corbell is revealing nothing that risks nothing at all. And I'm going to show you today these are 100% fraud. I'm going to show you very clearly that Jeremy Corbell is completely full of shit, and he's releasing videos that aren't even new or not even his own.
Potential threat. There are 2 Department of Justice investigations. We've made public some information that people didn't want out.
I wouldn't take any chances if I were you right now, because you've got a bullseye on you.
The closer you get to the truth with this thing, the more pushback you get. New information has come forward.
I think people are ready for the next level.
We have members of Congress who believe that not only are there extraterrestrials on Earth, but that they have built bases.
At the end of the day, we just want the truth.
The whole point of those clips was just to be like, I'm hanging out with congressmen. Look at me hanging out with Nancy Mace and Matt Gaetz and Tim Burchett. Aren't I so cool? Like, 100%, that's the point of that. Like, I cannot, like, it's so disappointing to see Congress like interacting with this level of sensationalism. If anything hurts the UFO topic, this hurts the UFO topic more than anything. When normal people see this, They just go, this is 100% a money-making scam. That's what this comes across as.
I provided them a 20-plus page report that the world is looking for right now about Immaculate Constellation and the man who authored it.
So did Jeremy Corbell actually provide that report? So remember, we looked through that report. We might be one of the only people that's looked through the actual report. 20 pages long, 170 items or something like that. Hal Puthoff is mentioned 93 times. It's actually a good report. Do I believe that Jeremy Corbell had anything to do with putting it together? No. I think he's literally stealing credit right here from whoever put together that report, and he's pretending like he put it together. I could be wrong, but if I'm right, then the way he's phrasing this right here is literally just stealing credit from somebody else. Putting together a 20-page report of all these UFO scenarios and scientists, that's an accomplishment. Do I think that Corbell did it? No, I don't think Corbell did it. I think he's literally stealing somebody else's work.
I took the risk of walking a whistleblower into multiple meetings unannounced.
I took the risk of walking a whistleblower into unannounced meetings. So now this is obviously bullshit because you don't get unannounced meetings with Congress. That's not a thing that happens. You have to schedule the meetings with the Congress people, and they usually just ignore you. How do I know? Well, ask me how I know, guys. So, like, he's just making shit up here. Like, clearly just making shit up.
When they saw you testify, it fucking gave them balls to come forward.
It's not a good decision for your personal life.
Based upon what this person knows, this is huge.
Do you believe that the federal government is knowingly concealing evidence about UAPs from the public?
Yes, sir.
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
I think people are going to tell the truth. If they don't, then I will.
There is a document that will be entered into the congressional record today about Immaculate Constellation.
Congress just lied to the American public. It is immeasurably dangerous that they lied about this. She knew it was a lie. So
what is he talking about here? Congress lied to the people? Congress was questioning whistleblowers. Congress can't, it doesn't even make sense to claim that Congress lied. I don't even understand the argument that he's trying to use here. It's clearly just to build up more drama. And whoever just said in the chat, you realize this is scripted. That's the whole point of what I'm telling you, is that every part of whatever this bullshit is that's being sold here is scripted, but it's trying to base it on real events to try to claim that it's somehow got more authenticity because there was a real hearing that happened. Congress didn't lie during any hearing. How could they? They weren't the ones who were testifying. The ones that were testifying were Tim Gallaudet, Mike Gold, I think his name was, Schellenberger, and Lou Elizondo. Yeah, it's clearly scripted psyop. That's exactly the point of this live stream, is to show you this is fucking scripted. Because anyone who watches this, like, this isn't natural. This isn't organic. The way all these people retweet each other as well is not organic at all, chat. It's not organic. It's clearly scripted. It wouldn't surprise me if they have a literal PR coordinator coordinating them, like, oh, okay, you retweet this person now. I'm about to drop it. You know, at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, you need to retweet this stupid psyop that Jeremy Corbell is pushing.
You want to explain it while we're recording? Because we're recording right now.
I'm not going to be quiet. I'm fucking going to look everybody in the fucking eye. Whoever fucking lied, I'm going to say it in front of everybody.
Ooh, y'all. Whoever effing lies, I'm going to say it in front of effing everybody. Ooh, I'm a badass. Ooh. This is the same guy that's literally afraid to even talk to me. This same guy that's talking all badass, he's literally terrified of saying my name in a public setting. Let that sink in, chat. Does he really sound like a badass? I'm just a normal dude. I'm not a government agent or anything like that. This dude's terrified of talking about me, talking about the MH370 videos, which are far more compelling than anything he's ever released. We're not done taking him down yet either. Look at this garbage.
We're dealing with a subject that is so explosive and so revolutionary. And anyone who's managing an empire that has a stake in keeping its power structure, they're not going to play nice.
When you're talking about people coming forward and those people no longer existing, that's a problem.
So you're saying that people just died there?
I can't, chat. I can't. I really can't. And this is the thing. What somebody just said is that if you are coming forward in the situation that Jeremy Corbell's LARPing as right there, then you get Matthew Livelsberger. That's what happens to you. All of a sudden, you're in a Cybertruck that blows up in front of Trump Tower in Las Vegas. And then the FBI is releasing these letters saying, like, you're a crazy person. That's what happens when you're a real whistleblower. So, honestly, super cringe. And I wish that that was all there was to expose. But there's actually more. So, I decided to click the link, okay? And check it out. Now, where is it? Because you have to see this firsthand. Here it is. Hold on. Okay. So Jeremy Corbell claims to, this is the first episode of the thing. We're not going to show the whole thing. I don't want to get copyright strike. But this is the first episode of the show. I just clicked on the link for you guys, the TMZ show. This is episode number 1. This is Jeremy Corbell explaining this video that he's got here. Okay, let's hear what he says about it.
No, it's military video from an active deployment. This one caught my attention in 2008. No, it's military video from an active deployment where they know what they're looking at when they're out there. And to send it to me, it has another level of power, right?
The Super Bowl's coming to town.
What the hell?
I came here to help
Well,
you.
I'm going to let that play out. Apparently,
This restaurant is pestering. Stop.
Can't even
I'm
mute it.
amazed you haven't killed anybody.
Kitchen Nightmares, all new Tuesdays on Fox, and watch anytime on Hulu.
Okay, hold on. We're back. I think.
This particular evening, maybe 100 miles from the Syrian border, we sent up a coil, which is a 360-degree security. And basically,
let me set the mood here. So Jeremy Corbell just claimed just now that he was sent this video that we're watching right here. This is the big reveal, apparently. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. My understanding is this is the big new video that is similar to the Nimitz that Jeremy Corbell is revealing.
I was looking at the thermals, just kind of scanning back and forth. I'm going to say it's probably about 200 meters. I kind of see something raise up. An object kind of come off the floor from that distance.
Send a red 4. Roger.
I would probably say it went about 25 meters off the ground and started elevating upward. And I was like, this is weird. What the hell is this?
This thing is just lifting up, and they're watching it. They're like, what is that super luminous thing in the middle of nowhere, Iraq?
I was like, man, I got to film this. Started filming, so I was looking through my camera.
The gimbal UFO is one of the most important UFO videos that's put out. It's very clearly an anomalous object that can do things that other craft that we have can't.
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh, dude. Well, if there's a thing, it's rotating.
And this looks in shape so similar to that.
Okay, let's skip to the reveal part here.
Decipher who's telling the truth, who has a story that I can help progress. It is astonishing.
Okay, so if you didn't understand all that context, Jeremy Corbell is claiming that he was sent this video and that he's revealing this video to the world. Any guesses on what comes next? Any guesses out there on what comes next? Brand new video revealed to the world by Jeremy Corbell. Any thoughts, friends? Turns out this video has been on the internet for 3 years. This video has been shared on Reddit and on YouTube for the last 3 years. This has nothing to do with Jeremy Corbell. This video has nothing to do with Jeremy Corbell. This video has been on the internet for the last 3 years. Here it is, October 16th, 2021. Here's the full video right here, exact same video Jeremy Corbell was just sharing. You just were watching it. Here's the real video without all the pageantry and the editing that they did to make it seem like Jeremy Corbell had discovered this video. Yes, you are correct. Jeremy Corbell was just busted in real time. He did not reveal this video. This video has been out there. He's just stealing credit for it. I don't know why he's doing it. He didn't reveal any information on the TMZ clip about anybody who sent this to him. I think that what he really means, and the grift that he's pulling here, is he's pretending like someone sent him a link to this YouTube video, and now he's claiming to promote it. That's basically what's happening. At a bare minimum, in my opinion, he's completely exaggerated his ownership or situation regarding him revealing this video. If this is truly the video that he's claiming that he's now revealing for the first time that's never been seen before or whatever nonsense, well, now he's 100% busted. Whether or not this is a UFO or not, Jeremy Corbell has no rights to this video, and there was nothing special about him seeing this video. Just for absolute proof, I have the Reddit links as well that goes along with this. You guys know I always bring the receipts. I dug into this, of course, because I wanted to figure out what the truth is. And I was surprised to find that this video had already been on the internet for many years. And it wasn't just me. I think the credit goes to Secret something or other on the internet. So let's go back. So let me share and this was, so I think that what people have been saying, I've dug through all the Reddit posts. People are basically saying that this video has been on YouTube, and that they were saying that the YouTube link was the original. So the YouTube link was original, and then Reddit posted it. So we can see right here 3 years ago, October 18th, 2021. Northern Iraq, 2008 Drone Control Center UAP footage link. And not only does this just show that Jeremy Corbell is a complete fraud and a phony and a liar, but the other part too is that it shows that these people that are watching this, they don't know what it is. Even watching, let's watch the footage again. This is the original footage. They don't know what they're looking at. They're looking at a dot in the sky. Dot in the sky. What does this mean? I saw this video years ago. I didn't go around promoting it. It's not that compelling. It could be the camera moving around here, not necessarily the object. In fact, I think you'll find if you go to my Twitter, I think I even posted this like a year ago. I think I posted this video like a year ago. Well, I could be wrong. So,
Hey, Davis.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. If Jeremy Corbell is really claiming to be the discloser of this video, then, I mean, even if the video is real, the video could be real, but Jeremy Corbell doesn't deserve any credit for revealing it. Very weird stuff, man. So, yeah, apparently it's a 3-part series. It looks like just straight up slop, if you ask me. I mean, when I say slop, people know, what do you mean? I mean, like the stuff that you feed pigs, slop. It's garbage that doesn't really educate you in any way, shape, or form. Maybe it's meant to validate your emotions or your experiences, but not really useful. Is the audio better? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully it is. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, the video might have been causing the problem. Okay, so that's the Jeremy Corbell thing. I think it's crazy that people are saying that I hurt disclosure. Jeremy Corbell is trying to talk about his jellyfish UFO. Did anything? Nobody cares about a jellyfish UFO. Unless you're going to show me a video that shows one of the 5 observables, like anomalous propulsion or zero inertia. You're not really showing me anything. Just showing me something floating in the sky doesn't tell me anything. Could be a balloon for all I know. Okay, okay, the next one. Guys, it happened again. Can you believe this? Hi, Ocean Eyes. How are you doing? Hey, Ocean. Can you believe that it happened again? Here you go. I just dropped this.
Many of these issues, Lou, are ones of national security. And what do you think that line is between the need for government transparency and secrecy? I mean, we talked about that a little bit with Ross. I mean, I could definitely see certain things we wouldn't want there to be out there, especially, if we have, information that could lead to, sort of, whether it's military dominance or, more effective propulsion units. But should there be a push to make some of these cover up programs a little bit more public?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and I've always said, for the record, if I ever have to choose between national security and serving my country and disclosure, I'll always choose national security. Gotcha, bitch. What I don't agree with is obfuscation and calling something classified simply because you're embarrassed or because you're trying to cover malfeasance. And that is what we're dealing with this topic, because for decades, money has been siphoned off without letting Congress know, without letting the president know, and making decisions unilaterally on behalf of somebody, like i.e. the president, and you're talking about a middle manager who does not have that authority.
Someone explain to me. You're out there claiming that there's aliens that are being covered up and that people are being killed to cover up this alien technology. Somehow we're going to disclose this without breaking national security? How in the hell are we going to do that? This thing makes no sense at all. Do you know that almost all the MH370 FOIA requests have been rejected in the interest of, guess it, national security? We're literally hiding the technology in the interest of national security. But you're telling me you're going to choose national security over disclosure? Well, that means you're not really on the side of disclosure at all. Disclosure is disclosure of zero-point energy technology. That's what disclosure is. If disclosure to you is aliens, well then bravo, aliens are real, disclosure's already happened, here you go. I'm coming down to let you know right now, aliens are probably out there somewhere. If that's a big revelation for you, well then here you go. Go ahead and, pour out your emotions and your heart over it right now. Because for 95% of America and the world, aliens existing doesn't change a single thing about their lives. Nothing at all. It's not going to break their mind. What's going to break their mind is when we find out that we can, and we should have been extracting free energy for like 100 years now. For like 100 years. That's going to break people's minds. Because everybody's been brainwashed into thinking that free energy is fake. And now you're going to tell them, oh, just kidding, it was actually real the whole time. Here's another Lou Elizondo clip.
Me to choose between national security and disclosure, like real national security, I will always choose national security.
Boom! Gotcha, bitch! And let's do one more. Let's do one more. I mean, I told you we're going to destroy this guy. It's not personal. It's really not personal. It's just that he's obviously, it's clear we've figured him out, It's clear we figured out Lou Elizondo. I thought I had one more clip. Oh, maybe it's in my, hold on. Maybe it's in my bookmarks. Okay, maybe not. Whatever. Okay, next thing, guys. Let's get on to it. Whew. Okay, Greer promised whistleblowers in the next 72 hours. So Stephen Greer actually started a podcast today, and I think we're going to talk about it on the next live stream. So in the interest of time, we're not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to let you know that in the podcast, Stephen Greer said that in the next 72 or so hours, there should be new whistleblowers that are coming out. Now, do I believe any of these people? No, not really. So before you start getting at me and start adding me going, Ashton, why do you believe Greer? Why do you believe whatever? I don't believe any of these people. I don't believe any of these people. I don't believe there's any whistleblowers coming out. I don't believe any of this stuff. But you know what? I'm going to sit and listen. So now we've got like 2 whistleblowers that already supposedly came out. We've got Stephen Greer's got whistleblowers coming out. We've got Matt Livelsberger. And spoiler alert, the next content after this is Coulthart has another whistleblower as well. We got whistleblowers coming out of our ears, chat. So if any of them are real, great. I don't believe Stephen Greer. In fact, I don't agree with him on his analysis of aliens, and I don't agree with him on his CE5 stuff. I just know Greer is right about the technology. We do have 0-point energy technology. He's right about that. He's right about that. And the moral of the story, I have to keep repeating this. The moral of the story is that nobody's 100% correct. No one out there is 100% perfect. So Stephen Greer can be right about the technology and he can be wrong about aliens or CE5. That's okay. That's okay, guys. You don't have to agree with me as a person to agree with me in terms of my scientific beliefs. We don't all have to have the same politics to agree either. We don't need any of that stuff. That's the lesson people should learn. When I grew up, people would say that I don't agree with you, but I would defend to my death your right to say what you believe. We used to say that back in the 90s. Nobody says that anymore. Nobody says that anymore.
And by the way, this is why if you go all the way back to the Clinton era, I had recommended a period of amnesty for people who've been involved in these programs. And even though there have been some horrific things done, kidnappings, murder, torture, embezzlement of, in the aggregate, probably trillions of dollars of federal monies, et cetera, and so on, that if people come forward and they actually come clean and or agree to make a new chapter happen that's a beautiful development for humanity, that they have amnesty extended to them. And by the way, this is why if you go all the way back to the Clinton era, I had recommended
that. Okay. So Greer is promoting for amnesty. He's promoting amnesty for the people that have been hiding this technology. Well, that's pretty big. This is the part where it's like, I think Stephen Greer sees it correctly. They're never going to admit to this kind of technology being real without, really what this is about is them getting protections for the crimes that they've committed. That's what this has always been about. It's about protections for the crimes they've committed and the civil penalties that they would face for this stuff being real. That's what the Psyop is all about. Now we understand what the Psyop's about. Now we understand why they're trying to blame it on aliens. Because you blame it on aliens, and aliens aren't legally responsible for anything. Look at the difference between if aliens were responsible for MH370 versus if the United States government was responsible. We're talking about trillions of dollars in difference. So I'm just promoting a narrative for an incentive structure for why these people would want to blame aliens as opposed to blaming our own government for some of this technology. Just something to keep in mind, guys. And I'm not the arbiter of truth. You should not believe everything that I say, but I hope that I present narratives to you that make you think outside of the box and make you think critically about your preconceived notions. That's what I want to get. That's what I want you to take the most out of this. Not, don't just hate these guys randomly, but like really judge what they're saying through a critical lens. Now, the next one here, I'm going to lay the groundwork for you. This is a brand new one as well. So Ross Coulthart and News Nation just started promoting like an hour ago, claiming that they have a brand new whistleblower that has seen UFO crash retrievals and supposedly they have a never before seen video of a UFO crash retrieval. Let me say that again. News Nation and Ross Coulthart are claiming that they have a never before seen video of a UFO crash retrieval. And they're claiming that they're going to post it on Saturday. I believe it's at 7 o'clock Central Time. Now, already I'm extremely skeptical. Why? Because if you have some incredible footage, why would you wait to post it? It's Wednesday. You're going to wait till Saturday to post this amazing footage? This already reeks of marketing scam to me. My red flag-o-meters are already going off, right? Yeah, exactly. Post it right now. What are you waiting for? You're not going to get enough attention for having a UFO crash retrieval video? You have to build up the drama for that? If you had a real UFO crash retrieval video, you would just put it on the internet immediately. You wouldn't want to hold on to it at all. Why wait? Exactly. Why wait? You would just post it on the video. You're going to get 100 million views minimum. You would just disclose it. So now that I gave you that context, let's look at the whistleblower. We're just going to watch a clip. They released a clip of the whistleblower. We're going to watch the clip and we're going to judge for ourselves. Here's the whistleblower. Jake, I don't know what his full name is.
After seeing all kinds of things in my past, it was clearly something that was ridiculously looking. It's been confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we were working with that night was in fact NHI, and it was not a unique experience.
Okay, first of all, I don't like to judge people, but this guy doesn't blink one time through the 26 seconds that they have him on there, and his eyes are more wide open than I've ever had my eyes before. And I'm already starting to get vibes that, like, okay, they're going to be able to attack his mental credibility here for sure. And the other huge red flag that I just heard, I'm going to repeat the red flag again so that you guys can hear it. Here you go.
Was ridiculously looking. It's been confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we were working with that night was in fact NHI, and it was not a unique experience.
So that's the scariest part. He's saying it was confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we saw that night was NHI. That's the psyop right there. We just found the psyop right there. Who are ranking members of the UAP task force? When I think of who are ranking members of the UAP task force, do you know who I think of right away? Who do you guys think of? Who do you guys think of when you think of ranking members of the UAP task force? For me, it's Lou Elizondo, number one, right at the top. Exactly, Ed. Exactly. So right off the bat, now he gave away the game. He didn't decide himself that he was looking at aliens. He was told by Lou Elizondo that what he saw that night was non-human intelligence, right? Exactly. Everybody in the chat figures it out. Exactly. Now it's starting to make sense. Why? Because Ross Coulthart is connected to Lou Elizondo. All these people are connected to one another. They're doing psychological operations on people, trying to convince people like this, like, you saw aliens that night, guy. Hey, you saw aliens. He's going, I don't know what I saw. I just saw a floating orb. And they're going, that must be alien technology. You need to go on News Nation and you need to tell everybody you saw alien technology. This is what they're literally doing. What I'm revealing to you is just literally what they're doing. They're telling this guy, and this poor guy who's probably traumatized, maybe has PTSD, has seen some crazy shit out there, and he doesn't know what he's seen. He just knows it's crazy. He goes to these people, and they sit there and they brainwash him. And they go, you've seen aliens. You saw aliens. He never saw any fucking aliens. I guarantee you this guy's not going to say he saw aliens. He's just going to say he saw some crazy technology. Now, do you want to know the other red flag? This is not in here, but it turns out this guy is connected to Jason Sands. Jason Sands, if you're not familiar with Jason Sands, he came out because he disclosed that he was interviewed as part of James Fox's The Program documentary. And he got widely discredited because his story was changing. He started posting his story on and talking about his story in X Spaces and on X. And Jason Sands' story started changing. And then at some point, Jason Sands, he got to a situation where he was saying, well, I was told by the government to execute aliens, blue telepathic aliens. They forced me to execute them, which is completely ridiculous. And it's not the kind of thing that you say when you don't have any like evidence to support it. So it turns out this guy that we're looking at here is also potentially connected to a guy that was already highly discredited because he was telling stories that were like evolving and changing. And like, you know, you start telling stories about how you were like forced by the U.S. government to execute aliens. People are going to think you're a little out there. So what I'm getting at is this. That guy's story might be real. Maybe it's not. But the probability for a bust here, where this thing just goes horrible, is very, very high right now. The probability that this whole thing with this whistleblower that we're looking at right here and this story about this video of a supposed crash retrieval, what's that video going to show? What's this video that they supposedly have? I have a feeling that it's not going to be as clear cut as the way they're presenting it. It's going to be a video, maybe a grainy cell phone video. And imagine if it's a video that's already available on the internet. If it's a video that's already available on the internet, like goodbye News Nation's credibility, goodbye Ross Coulhart's credibility. Like, it's just so many ways that this can go so poorly. So poorly. Yeah, exactly. There's no chance it's a clear-cut video, right? And I feel like we're priming ourselves for like a bait and switch or for a rug pull here, where they're hyping us up for this video that's never been seen before on Saturday. They're going to show it in prime time, and then we're going to see it, and it's going to be a big letdown. It's going to be a big letdown. It's probably going to be a grainy video from super far away. We can't see anything, you know? And everybody's going to have expected that this is going to be the big break. And then it's going to end up being bullshit again. And why am I confident in that assessment? Because this story is played out time and time again with these same people over and over. They always come up with this sensationalist crap. They always try to use sensationalism to get their ratings up. And then they never deliver on the goods. And even when they deliver on the goods like Jeremy Corbell did, it turns out it's already some video that's been publicly available for many years. And he's doing really nothing special. He's not even defending the veracity of the video. He's not presenting any new information about the video, just literally pretending and taking credit for it. It's painful. For some of these guys, it probably is a cash cow, but for many of the people in this community, it's not a cash cow. For many of the people in this community, they're just trying to get the truth, and they're not making huge amounts of money off of this. For the people like the Jeremy Corbells with their sensationalist bullshit with TMZ, I'm sure he's doing just fine financially. And that's part of the problem with some of this too, is that these guys have a vested interest in keeping it going instead of having a vested interest in finding the truth. Incentive structures are a big problem with how this stuff's all been covered up. They have all these perverse incentive structures from academia to the media to the government. Terrible incentive structures are what causes all of this. So my prediction is that the Ross Coulthart big reveal ends up blowing up in their face and News Nation's face. I'll be happy to be wrong. If they actually did real journalism and have real amazing video, I'll be the first to apologize. I'll be the first. And we'll be covering it on the first stream after that, probably next Monday. So that's one stream right now where we basically just exposed everybody. And I want to announce that I talked to John DeSouza, and John DeSouza and I spoke about a lot of the ways of disinformation and some of these people that are out there in these narratives that they're pushing, because we agree. That interview will drop next Sunday. So John DeSouza, next Sunday, And then after that, I believe we have Avi Loeb up. So we've got some pretty big podcasts. I hope you guys are excited. And I hope you guys are appreciating the content. And then I'm going to have some more awesome interviews after that. Okay, let's save Diego Garcia, and then let's do some Hal Puthoff clips to close out the night, guys. So Diego Garcia is going to be sold back to Mauritius. And in fact, we're paying them to be able to rent out the land for our Diego Garcia military base. So I made this pretty sweet clip that I'm going to play of Senator Kennedy talking about keeping Diego Garcia in our control.
The Indian Ocean, Madam President, as you well know, one of the most important parts of the world. Here's China. Here's India. China's trying to dominate all of these sea lanes. Here in the middle of the Indian Ocean is a group of islands called the Chagos Islands. America has a military base, Diego Garcia. It is an extraordinarily important military base. One of the few in the world where our military can reload submarines. Houses a number of Navy ships. Our military base there houses long-range bombers that we use to carry out missions around the world. We have to work hard every day to police our military base, not just the base itself, but the land, or the water surrounding it, because China knows how important this military base is. The United Nations is saying, United Kingdom, you bad people, give the Chagos Islands back. And President Biden could stop it, and so could Vice President Harris. But they're for it, all in an effort to curry favor with the people at the United Nations who walk around with their NPR tote bags and their organic broccoli. Why on God's green earth would we do that? China, of course, is delighted because, number one, China's already started currying favor with Mauritius. Mauritius will now be in charge of the security of the Chagos Islands and our military base and the waters surrounding it. President Trump, please pick up the phone and call the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and say, don't sign that treaty. Don't give away America's military base. If we object, they won't. If we don't say anything, they will.
I love that guy. That guy is funny as hell. I had to edit out like 8 minutes of that clip because it's just him rambling on and on and on and on. But when you really distill it down, it's pretty compelling. In fact, I want to play the part again about the NPR tote bags. If you thought I was going to edit out the NPR tote bags and the broccoli, you don't know me at all. I could have edited that part out because it's political or whatever, but no way am I editing that part out.
And so could Vice President Harris.
But they don't want
They're
to.
for it.
They're for
all in an effort to curry favor
with the UN,
with the people at the United Nations who walk around with their NPR tote bags and their organic broccoli. Why?
Who walk around with their NPR tote bags and their organic broccoli. That is just, there's zero chance I was editing that part out. I could have easily edited it out. No chance in hell. But real talk, guys, people ask me, hey, if you look at the replies on that, it's a bunch of people asking me, Ashton, I thought you said we're evil and Diego Garcia is where they teleported the plane. Yeah. So it makes it like a really important military base. If we're testing orbs out in the middle of the Indian Ocean at Diego Garcia, we probably should secure the area around that location. Seems like really important. People misunderstand me. I don't want to be exposing my own nation. I just want the truth. And it turns out the truth is the United States Navy and military and intelligence communities teleported MH370. That's the truth. I wish I could be exposing China or Russia, but the videos show that the United States government did that. It doesn't make me not a patriot. So as a patriot, I want us to have the crazy orb technology. And I want us to have Diego Garcia, our secret Area 51 base that nobody really knows about, except for now everybody does. So I'm actually all aboard the idea of, you know, we should not be selling this land. And it's 100% true. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could stop this sell. All they have to do is call up the Prime Minister of the UK and say, don't do it. And they won't. That's literally how much power the United States government has. We could literally just say, hey, don't do it, and we won't do it. So I'm coming out full on save Diego Garcia. Save Diego Garcia. President Trump needs to cancel this deal. It sounds like they're trying to rush the deal through before the next 5 days, 6 days, because President Trump might not allow it to happen. It's actually really messed up that we're like allowing this to happen. Although at the same time, we definitely like displaced all these people like 70 years ago and took over their land. So I get it from that angle. But at this point, the base is too important for us to give up. The base is just too important for us to give up. Because I understand the reality that world is not black and white. It's shades of gray, and we have to do evil stuff to maintain technological superiority. That's the hard truth, ladies and gentlemen. We have to do evil stuff, black operations, to maintain technological superiority. The last thing in the world that I would want to be is an Iranian or North Korean plasma physicist or semiconductor engineer. Those have got to be the last two things in the world I would want to be. Because if you don't defect to the United States, you can imagine that they're going to take you out. They're not going to let anybody catch up to this technology. That's not in the plan. It's not in the cards. So I thought that clip was really good. And I think that we can't be sleeping on this Diego Garcia thing. People don't realize how important it is. And hello, Lauren White, raising up the ranks of my favorite fans. My favorite fans that are out there. Welcome to the chat. Okay, last thing for tonight, guys. Hal Puthoff, okay? So I hope you guys are learning a lot tonight, and I hope you're learning a lot about the various narratives that exist. When I use Psyop, I don't mean it as harshly as some people. Basically, I just mean, like, what are the narratives that people are pushing out there in the UFO community? So here we go. Steve Justice interviews Hal Puthoff. This interview, like, how does this guy get this interview? 1,000 subscribers, 3,000 views. Steve Justice talks to Hal Puthoff. We're not going to do this whole thing. First part, technology light years beyond the public, 8 minutes in.
What we're talking about today is the fact that realize that at least behind closed doors, technologies are being developed that are just sort of off the charts in comparison to what's out there in the public. And so that made me recognize that, you know, if I ever had a chance to get involved in that kind of work for the government again, I would certainly take it. And as the years went by, eventually, because of my interest, I was invited to join Robert Bigelow's group called National Institute for Discovery Science, where he was looking into all kinds of unusual topics.
So Hal Puthoff learned early on that there was technologies that were out there that were light years beyond the public. ZPE czar, guys. That's why he's the final boss. And he's definitely former CIA and naval intelligence as well. I've been talking to people behind the scenes. Hal Puthoff is definitely the godfather. He's connected to intelligence and he's an engineer. So he checks all the boxes. Then in 31 minutes in, he talks about how he decided to engineer general relativity. So he starts talking about, like, how did he come up with 0-point energy?
And so that's why we have, even in the popular culture, you know, films like Interstellar, where you're talking about warp drive and faster than the speed of light kind of drive. That's all part of general relativity. Now, it turns out that if you look around and say, okay, who's investigating general relativity? Well, it's basically astrophysicists are worried about the black hole mergers and neutron stars and all that kind of thing. But I came at it from a wholly different standpoint. I said, okay, in electromagnetism, we have a set of equations called Maxwell's equations. And basically, those equations are what we use to develop everything from light bulbs to batteries to Wi-Fi, you name it. But no one ever thought of taking Einstein's equations for general relativity and saying, okay, well, let's look at these from an engineering standpoint. Suppose I could engineer general relativity equations of Einstein, just like all the electrical engineers engineer Maxwell's equations for electromagnetic effects. No one had ever thought of doing that, actually. So, but anyway, that was my challenge that I gave myself, and I actually gave myself that challenge as I was part of the government's UAP program. And so I did a really interesting thing. I said, okay, looking at how UAP phenomena seem to occur and looking at, say, electrical equations, Maxwell's equations, I don't think we're going to handle it that way. It's just, we don't see a way forward there. So, well, what about general relativity? And so I got a piece of paper, and on one side of the piece of paper, I wrote down all the weird claims of people who claim to.
So I'm going to skip ahead. Long story short, Hal Puthoff took general relativity, Einstein's general relativity, and he figured out that you can manipulate space-time with it. Polarize the vacuum. Very similar to what Miguel Alcubierre did, where he realized you could make a warp drive using Einstein's equations. Hal Puthoff took it a step further. He said if you add this zero-point energy explains all the gaps in general relativity. Basically, zero-point energy upgrades general relativity to the next level. That's what it does. And that's what Hal Puthoff did. That's why he's the GOAT. 37 minutes in, he talks about the energy source for UFOs.
Replicate that inside of a vehicle. And when you and I talked on the phone, it was about there must be some mechanism that is simulating the effect of a black hole. There's a synthesis of it. Do you remember this? You remember this discussion?
I do remember. Yes. Very, very interesting. Very.
Some effect must be synthesizing a black hole. Guys, the MH370 videos are real. Remember when Sal looked at this and he said they're creating a black hole? A wormhole is potentially a black hole. There may be no physics difference between the two of them. This is why everybody's talking about quantum entanglement, black holes, ER equals EPR, wormholes, because we're in uncharted territory here.
Relevant.
And that's where, for our audience sake, where this collecting materials that could be from crashes or whatever it happens to be, things, unusual materials, are they a clue to how you might, create the, I'll call it the energy source for engineering the space-time metric? Is that a valid set of statements? I want to make sure.
Yes, that's a valid set of statements. And since in general, we don't make things in the lab that create these unusual general relativity space-time metric engineering effects, that means that therefore there must be some exotic material of some kind. It might be, a black hole, many black holes that, maybe we'll find floating around in the cosmos at some point and be able to grab hold of them, and that might be a boost. Or we might find out that some unusual combinations of materials do an end-around run and create these space-time metric engineering effects without a lot of energy. I mean, that would be great. So in fact, that's why I've been interested in the TTSA program, Project Atom, in collecting any materials that we can get that are claimed to have somehow been involved in a UAP phenomena, whether it's crash retrieval or pieces falling off or whatever. And so that's why interesting materials attract my attention.
Right. And an analogy for our audience could be, the way we originally got light at night was from a fire that also created lots of heat, but now we can synthesize light. You have, first came light bulbs, which did put out a lot of heat also, but it was a very different way of creating light. And now you have LEDs.
I thought there was a part about the fuel source for UFOs. Maybe I didn't get the right segment. Maybe it was right before that. Let's just check.
But in something very small, because one of the slides in your deck on space-time metric shows this distortion effect as a function of how close you are to like a black hole or a sun, something like that, where
Okay, well, we talked about the black hole stuff, but we've talked about Hal Puthoff. Hal Puthoff has mentioned the energy source is either 0-point energy or aneutronic fusion, also known as cold fusion. Okay, plasma propulsion.
Most of the expenditure, most of your problem is carrying the fuel on the rocket as the rocket launches toward space. And so the actual payload that gets in space is, 10% or less of the actual weight that you had to lift off the Earth. That's because you're carrying the fuel with you. Well, it turns out there's a whole other option. And it's not an option that you have to wonder if it's going to work. It's an option that has, in fact, been explored and proven. And that is, okay, let's not have our rocket carry any fuel. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, let's say we have a very powerful laser on the ground that shoots a laser beam at the back of the rocket. And then the rocket launches upward, not carrying any fuel. And it's not just, photon momentum from the laser light. No, it's not that. You can have material on the back of your rocket or your satellite that you're trying to launch. And the intense laser beam shoots at the back and heats up that material. And that makes a plasma behind your little rocket. And that plasma gives an enormous thrust to the rocket, and off it goes. Well, it turns out that this is a technology that has been investigated and actually experiments done and proven both by NASA and by the Air Force. And so, whereas right now it costs something like $10,000 per kilogram to put a rocket into orbit or more, this beamed energy propulsion from the ground can get you up there at like $1,000 per kilogram.
What I love about Hal Puthoff is how he's so open-minded. He's like, what if we just shoot lasers and use this like laser plasma propulsion to get stuff in outer space? Because the rocket, the fuel, most of the fuel is just to get to outer space. That's most of what the fuel is. And then we don't need the boosters anymore, so we drop the boosters off. Yeah, SpaceX and Elon Musk is like so primitive thinking that it makes, and I know Elon's a smart guy. So it goes to show me when you compare Elon's thought process to someone like Hal Puthoff, they're like so disparate that you have to realize that Elon Musk he's just running a front company, basically. There's no way anyone can think that rocket technology is the future. You just can't. If you're a futurist type person, there's rocket technology, there's no chance. No chance. Because of the explanations that were just given by Hal Puthoff. It makes no sense. You don't want to have all this mass on your object when you're trying to move it around through space. You want it to be super light. That's the reality. Also, the other thing I want to shoot a little bit of shade at Elon Musk right now is that you don't get to be like video game master on multiple video games while also like being super busy running major companies. It's not a thing you can do. How do I know that? Because I played a lot of video games in my life. And when you're playing video games at that high of a level, you're either cheating, having somebody else play for you, or you're spending every day, all day working on it. So for some reason, there's this idea that Elon Musk is running these big companies and he's also like the best Diablo or Path of Exile player. I guarantee you it's full of shit. He's either lazy as hell and playing video games all day when he should be working, or he's in a situation where he's got somebody else playing the game for him while he's busy working. That's the true reality of the situation. As somebody that's been a gamer, I can guarantee you there's not enough hours in the day to be one of the world's top video game players at any game and also be running multiple major companies. You're slacking somewhere. Sorry, but it's true, guys. Okay. One more segment, one more clip I want to play from this. Hal Puthoff talks about waveguides here, which is interesting because I wanted to understand the idea of waveguides better.
When you first came across it, we did a big search. Well, who makes this kind of stuff? I mean, is this a standard material development? That question that he asked, and that he's not satisfied with your answer. I can answer that.
You love that, don't you?
Yes, I can answer that very precisely. It turns out that when you want to transmit, let's say, gigahertz or microwave signals from one point to another, we use what are called waveguides. And so a waveguide can be like a metal pipe, and you can send a signal down through the pipe. And that's how you might send a signal from, let's say, a transmitter on surface of a carrier up to an antenna or whatever. Well, those waveguides have to have dimensions on the order of the wavelength of the signal you're trying to send. So, for example, 3 gigahertz signal may have a certain size in terms of centimeters and so on. So ordinarily, if you're going to send a signal from one place to another through a waveguide, you have to build your waveguide to be of the dimensions of the wavelength of the signal you're trying to send. However, it turns out that in this metamaterial kind of structures, it turns out that you can actually collapse to a microscopic level those waveguide requirements. So instead of needing a pathway that's roughly the size of the wavelength, you could cut it down by a factor of 30 or something. It's sort of like going from vacuum tubes to transistors to integrated circuits, that micro-miniaturization. It turns out that these particular phenomena of metamaterials, as we call them now, permit that kind of microscopically shrinking the size of what you need.
Yeah, so what they're saying there is that for these waveguides, you're trying to create a wave to go in a specific direction, and you want it to be a specific size. So how do you do that? You create a tube for it, a container for it, that is of a certain size, and that will force the wavelength down a specific shaft. And they're saying that you can use metamaterials that can basically cheat this process and get your wavelength even smaller or whatever size you need it to be, without potentially making the size of the metamaterial the matching corresponding wavelength. So basically, metamaterials can allow us to create wavelengths of whatever size we want and whatever size we need. That's the big reveal right there. Seems pretty smart. Now, the last bit is where he talks about where he briefed Hal Puthoff, briefed Edward Teller of the Manhattan Project on 0 point energy. You heard me correctly. Hal Puthoff briefed Edward Teller on 0 point energy.
Oh, that is really an interesting question.
Okay, exclude me. Go through some of the weird circles that you've run in, because I saw photographs of you with all kinds of different people that are just internationally recognized.
Well, certainly Edward Teller. That was a very interesting kind of meeting. Of course, Edward Teller is known to be the father of the H-bomb, and at the time I was investigating vacuum energy, 0 point energy. It's kind of an underlying cauldron of energy that exists even in empty space, and so I was told that, and he wanted to get a briefing from me on it. And so, okay, I agreed to do that. So I went out to New Mexico where he was to give him a briefing. And I was told in advance that when you're briefing Ed Teller, he will sometimes kind of drop his eyes and fold his hands, and you'll be sure that he's fallen asleep. But keep going. He's not asleep. He's thinking. So, no, okay. Sure enough, I swear to God, he looked like he had fallen asleep in front of me. But anyway, I kept going. Suddenly, he pops up his head and says, okay, so that means if you put a couple of plates close together, like a couple of microns apart, you'll get an attractive force between them from the energy in the vacuum. It'll go as a fourth power, inverse fourth power, and it'll have a value of, he actually worked out in his head as a math genius what it takes me a desk full of books to figure out. And so that was absolutely, it was kind of unbelievable to me that somebody could have such a brilliant mind that he could do that. And so that was certainly a really interesting.
And I love that story. That I was.
Yeah, that's a great story, but like, what was his response? We're missing kind of a big part of this story, which is like, okay, so you explained the Casimir effect to Edward Teller. You explained to him the 0 point energy. Was he down with it? What was his response? Was he like, yes, there's 0 point energy everywhere? Clearly, this is the answer. Yeah, can't say, right? Like, this again is more evidence that like 0-point energy is the big thing that they're hiding. Hal Puthoff is randomly briefing Edward Teller about 0-point energy, explaining the Casimir effect, the same thing that I've been explaining on every podcast for 9 months straight. Explain the Casimir effect, how this proves 0-point energy is real. Going all the way back to the beginning of the show tonight, Fred Durst was trying to explain this to Bill Maher. And Bill Maher had no idea. Bill Maher was just going, 0-point energy, durr. And Fred Durst was saying, no, it's been experimentally proven. And that is what Hal Puthoff was briefing Edward Teller, father of the H-bomb. So yes, I feel very confident that the answer to the UFO phenomenon is cold fusion is real, anti-gravity or gravity manipulation is real, 0-point energy is real, free energy is real, and they've been hiding this whole aspect of physics from us, even though it's been proven at the quantum mechanical scale. And it turns out it's very easy to hide it. Yes, if you're just now jumping in and you did not watch the beginning of the live stream, we pretty much started out with showing Fred Durst asking Bill Maher about 0-point energy and Bill Maher having like no idea about it. So let me do a couple last super chats and then we'll close out. I'll do a last little note. What did we learn today? Because I feel like we learned a lot today. Okay. Oh boy. Which one are we at? I don't know where we're at. I think we're here. From Swen. Hey, actually, I'm locked in on this, trying to glean what I can about what companies are making what tech. I don't have any hot stock tips. I invested in NXPI and it's only been a decent growth because they like went super high and then crashed back down to earth. If you had invested in NVIDIA when I started this, you would have made like 4 times over profit. If you had invested in Palantir when I started this, you would have made like 8 times over profit. There are ways to make profit out there. My best stock advice is look at the companies that the deep state, that the CIA are invested in. Those companies seem to do really well. OP Jeff, thank you. Are you familiar with the Loren Moret? I'm not familiar at all. Sorry, I'm not familiar, but you can send me content on X about it. Jeremy is not James Bond. Doesn't even have a martini. Yeah, I don't know. These people without martinis and dirty martinis, like who even are they? Gross. Hayes 100, thank you very much. Amazes me that anyone thinks these videos are good when we have 2 MH370. Yeah, it's crazy that we're watching these like Iraq videos earlier today, and it's nothing compared to like what we see in this MH370 video. That's why it blows me away where people are thinking that we're looking at video game effects or something here. This is what, there's nothing like this, man. This is a real military video. People don't want to believe it just because it's too hard to like believe what you see with your eyes there, which I understand. Kevin Miller, cultivated distrust through realistic counterfeits only forces society to mistrust anything they identify with. This is exactly what they're trying to accomplish. Thank you, Kevin Miller, is that they're trying to make it so that we can't trust anything that we see. They want you thinking that you can't trust anything that you see with your eyes. That's the big thing. Because then if you don't trust anything you see with your eyes, you won't believe anything that's out there. That's how the disinformation, misinformation works. And honestly, what's the answer? The answer is understand what stories make sense. Tell me a story that makes sense. Tell me a story that makes sense for the MH370 videos to be fake. Who's the hoaxer? What's the psychological profile for the hoaxer? What's their job? What are they doing? There is no story that makes sense. That's the problem. Nathan from Quantum Show, thank you for the donation. 1111, baby. Kevin Miller, America is an addict and you're hosting an intervention. Yes, that's very true. I mean, we are addicted to sensationalism and we need to be addicted to physics and engineering if we want to survive. Deniable plausibility. It could only, is it only possible to teleport something flying? This is a great question. I think that this technology we see in the videos that I just showed you is limited. I think that they potentially can only use it on something in the air. Because if they try to use it on something in the water, it's going to probably teleport the water as well. Maybe the air is diffuse enough that it doesn't teleport it. That's one of the big things I'm not sure about. Also, just FYI, I'm not 100% convinced it's teleportation. I'm like 99% convinced it's teleportation because I'm under the belief that a black hole must have a white hole so that anytime you absorb something, it must appear somewhere else. That's my belief of physics. And if that's true, every black hole has a white hole. That means every wormhole has an exit and an entrance. But it could be annihilation. GTE, huge donation. Thank you very much. In the UFO Northern Iraq video, you can see the object is moving. There's some kind of background movement. Yeah. It looks like they're moving the camera as well. Yeah. And it's funny because I remember seeing this video years back. And now Jeremy Corbell is pretending like he's just revealing it. No, we've already seen this video before. And the debunkers, now I'm remembering, the debunkers claimed that it was camera movement was the reason why it was doing that. In fact, I'm like pretty sure if you go back on my Twitter profile, you will find me posting that video like over a year ago. I'm pretty sure you're going to find it. If that's the case, it kind of shatters Jeremy Corbell's credibility because he's clearly presenting it as some new video that he's unveiled, which is obviously not true. So once again, thank you, GTE, for that donation. Levy, got to change. Oh, yeah, we already got to this donation. Thank you very much for your donation. I appreciate it. Yes, change the permittivity and you change the refractive index and you change the speed of light. Deniable plausibility. Could there be a whammy video of the plane reappearing? Yes, there could be. Do we have access? No. Could be, though. Rabbit hole, Kardashev scale. Yeah, Kardashev scale is going to just be completely obsoleted. We're working on a new scale. The Kardashev scale is based on this idea that solar power is the grand source of energy in the universe. But if 0-point energy is the grand source of energy in the universe, Kardashev scale doesn't work anymore. But 0-point energy also explains why we don't see all these mega structures, these Dyson spheres. Why are we not seeing Dyson spheres? The reason why we don't see Dyson spheres is because they don't exist. Because advanced civilizations realize you don't need suns to produce energy. Energy can be pulled from everywhere around you. That's the real logical answer to the question about why we don't see civilizations. RWK Records, thank you for your perseverance and persistence. Thank you, RWK Records. I appreciate it. And oh, man, Mark Scott, again, bro, chill out with the donations. I appreciate you, though. I appreciate you a lot, Mark. Best UFO, UAP ever. Yes, crickets and their other UFO. Fake groups with lint out of focus nonsense. Thank you, Mark. You've been a baller. I appreciate it, but chill out on the donations just a little bit. Appreciate you, though. Huge donation. Thank you very much, brother. Okay. Last thoughts, guys. So what did we learn? I think we learned that many people in the public don't understand 0-point energy at all. They think it's fantasy. They think it's fiction. They don't realize it's been experimentally proven for over 70 years. Over 70 years. And the people in the UFO community are clearly working with one another. Clearly working with one another. There's no denying that. They're talking to one another behind the scenes. They're corroborating. They're coordinating. And it looks, I'm going to be honest, it looks really bad right now. Like they're all pushing these stories that are coming out, but they've all ignored the Cybertruck whistleblower at the same time, which looks terrible. And so far, nobody's presented any evidence for any of the stories that they've claimed. So far, they've all claimed, oh, I saw an infinity gauntlet. I saw a magic floating orb. Great. Is there any evidence for it? Dates, times, locations, people you were with? Nope, 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 nope. And the new guy is already connected to a guy that was discredited and claimed that he was forced by the U.S. government to execute some blue telepathic aliens. Not looking great. So what I would say is that there's a huge bust potential on the newest revelations. Huge bust potential. Very little upside. But if it turns out I'm wrong and that there is this amazing video of a UFO crash retrieval, then we're going to have a lot to talk about. And just because I don't like people or I think that they're disinfo or whatever else you want to call them, doesn't mean I won't report on their stuff. I have nothing personal against anyone. And I appreciate this comment as well. Even if I don't like somebody, if they say the right thing, if they say something that's truthful, I'll report on it. Even if I think they're a terrible person. And that's how I think we should act as a society. We shouldn't be trying to blackball people because we disagree with them or disagree with their politics. And we shouldn't just say, oh, I disagree with that one person, that one thing somebody says, so everything they say is bullshit. That's not how the world works. If we did that, we'd never have any progress. That's what I want to leave you with tonight. That's the lesson I hope you guys learned from this live stream that we had tonight. So I hope you guys appreciated the live stream. On Friday, I think we're going to talk about the Stephen Greer podcast, and maybe there'll be new revelations on his whistleblowers. And there's a couple other things that we may talk about, like this nitinol, which is like some kind of nickel, titanium, or something like that, material made by the Navy. And then there's also this thing called the Ringmasters of Saturn, which I vaguely remember, but we're probably going to talk about that as well. Oh, I found the other thing. Here's your moment of Zen, chat. So let's do the last donations, and then I'll do our moment of Zen. Mark Scott, he just did. After I tell him to stop donating, what does he do? He donates again. Thank you, Mark. You're a baller, Mark. Appreciate you, brother. And then Deniable Plausibility. I rewatch all of your streams. Thank you, man. Thank you, Deniable Plausibility. That's really nice of you. So here is your moment of Zen, chat.
Piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef, and this little piggy had none. And this little piggy cried, wee, 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 all the way home. Wee, 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 cried. This little piggy, wee, 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 cried. This little piggy, wee, 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 cried. This little piggy, all the way home.
Bravo. Beautiful. It's beautiful information. Beautiful disclosure. Thank God that we have these people disclosing information for us. Where would we be without all of them? Honestly. Thank you, MH370X, ZP Disclosure 2025. Love y'all. Peace out. Let's chat on Friday. Laters, y'all.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Spears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Controls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching